Welcome to June! It does not feel like June. It was very cold this morning and we went to a car show and I had to bring out my heated vest because it was very cold. Since it is my birthday month, I decided to make a copy of my favorite summer dress, even though it does not feel like summer today. This is the best because it is very lightweight and sheer, and the pattern disguises any amount of sweat that you have, but it's no longer a comfortable fit. So I'm going to copy this and then adjust it to fit me now. Plus pockets. It does not have pockets. It has this fun detail in the back. It's just a really great warm weather dress. Today does not feel like it all, but that's okay. Alright, let's get started.
I forgot to explain the rules for my one normal dress a month challenge, which are 1, it has to be comfortable, 2, it has to be my style, 3, it has to be from my stash, and honorary number 4 is it has to have pockets. Now on to tracing the dress. There is a little bit of elastic at the waist, but the rest was easy to trace. I did carefully label the seam allowances though, because the edges are bias tape, so no seam allowance, but there's an inch at the waist for the elastic and half an inch on the rest of the seams. Also, editor's note, there's a bust dart that I completely missed, but don't worry, I made a full mock-up. And I'm going to take this opportunity to tell you that technically it happened in May, but I did have one final purchase at Joann Fabrics, which was this very perfect sewing room sign. I gotta figure out somewhere I can hang this, because it's very heavy. And also, today is the very first anniversary of Sky's Gotcha Day! AKA the day I ruined Emmy's life. Look at how tiny he was, and now he's huge.
It does still fit, but this is not supposed to be tight. If I add about an inch on the sides, and I'm gonna lengthen the skirt by maybe 3 inches, and then I am gonna do a full mock-up, and hopefully that dress will be wearable.
My assistants are excited.
Okay, the mock-up is done, and I am so glad I made this completely wearable. Plus, it does have pockets. I made this from 2 yards of fabric. There's like no scraps left over. I had to piece together one of the pockets. I do have a couple quick modifications, like I gotta add that dart in because I'm getting a little bit of gaping here and there's supposed to be a dart that I totally missed. The hole in the back in the original is a little bit wider, so I'm gonna do that. And somehow the skirt panels don't match, but I'm just gonna average them and use one panel for both. I love this. And tomorrow, I can get started on the real fabric. This morning, instead of sewing, I went out and bought flowers and vegetables, so I now have a Carolina Reaper. My husband's gonna hate that. It is time to start with the good fabric, and it is already a little bit wet because someone used it as a dog bed after playing with the hose. I went a little bit nuts last night and grabbed a whole bunch of fabrics because this pattern is amazing. And I haven't been putting any tags in these dresses because I was running really low, and then someone ate the rest of them. But I have new ones now, so I'm gonna get started by cutting everything out.
And he's back on the fabric. This fabric is a fairly opaque chiffon, but it is slightly see-through, so I cut a second copy for a lining. And if you've been watching this 2025 dress series, you'll know that I have been thoroughly enjoying my stained glass class, and unfortunately the next class is in September. But I managed to cut and grind 3 more projects so I can solder them at home over the summer. I also cut out a bunch of bias tape. Did you see that? Yeah. Did I mention the pockets? I put 2 bodice pieces together, marked the darts, and pinned both layers together before basting around the front and the backs. I pinned through both lines of the dart and stitched it from the side to the point. Just prep my workspace here. So for the mock-up, I stitched shoulders together and then I did this beautiful binding, only to realize that it was in fact backwards. The back pieces were flipped. I had to undo all of that, which was not great. So for this one, I'm gonna pin the back pieces at the future seam, so I will not end up doing that again. What a good workspace. So this is the future seam. With no confusion this time. So I'm gonna stitch here. I'm following the way the original dress was constructed, and next up is stitching bias tape to the arm and neck edges and around the back hole. I used a 1/4 inch seam allowance and did not pin this ahead of time. I folded the raw edge of the binding over twice and pinned, and I did this for all of the bias tape. It wasn't difficult, just time-consuming. I stitched the binding from the front side near the edge, but not on it to catch the binding on the back, which was also time-consuming, but this time I knew I wasn't going to have to seam rip it out. I know what I'm doing. I did not quite capture all of the raw edges on the inside, so I'm just going to go back and hand sew these bits. Bubble break! Don't worry, they're edible bubbles. The next day, I pinned the bodice side seams, making sure that the dart seam allowance is up because that is how it is on the original, and stitched. I also stuck my tag in there. I added the pockets on my marks. I serged that edge off camera before stitching the seam allowance to the pocket bag, and then I could stitch the skirt side, which goes around the pocket and down to the bottom. I also assembled the lining layer without pockets, and sewed the back because apparently I missed that one earlier. I was taught to use a needle to tuck serger ends into the seams. I was trying really hard to skip it, but I think I am going to give everything a quick press, just to get everything laying flat and then get rid of these marks. I was totally going to skip it and just not tell you. Oh boy, do I need to clean my iron. I really should baste this, but I'm not going to. And since I seem to have chosen that the right side of the fabric is showing on both sides, I'm going to do that again with the skirt. What, Sky? What are you doing? He was causing chaos. Anyway, it didn't take very long for me to remember that chiffon is very slippery, and I changed my mind. No, I should really baste this. Baste it. I carefully pinned the bodice and the skirt together. I pinned the bodice on inside out. This is the outside edge with the pocket, and this is the inside. Excuse me while I redo this. After fixing that, I stitched the waist with a 1-inch seam allowance, starting at the back cutout. I'm going to serge this edge before the next step. The next step was to fold that over onto the skirt and top stitch a channel for the elastic. All by myself. Hi, buddy. Can I help you? You are very in the way, sir. You're a good boy. The channel does continue through the back cutout. Look at my new tag! Excuse the awkward camera angle, someone has squished me into a corner. My note to myself says cut 27-inch long elastic, and I bought a second tape measure because I'm always losing mine. This is the old one, because I had to glue it back together. I used 28 inches for my mock-up, which was way too big. 27 was also too big. I used a safety pin to feed it through the channel, and it is definitely twisted, but it's fine. I used a zigzag stitch to attach the elastic and stitch the opening in the channel closed. I'm still shoved off to the side. I tried it on, and I think it'll mark I need 1 inch less elastic at the waist. It looks great. It does indeed have functional pockets. I just stepped on a puppy. The back is gaping a lot though. I just pinned this for the bit, and if I get this over my head like this, I will just mark it on the pattern as a permanent thing. There's a puppy in the way. I prepped this to level the hem, but it really doesn't need it. So I guess I'll just skip ahead to the hemming. Also, I have a puppy. We ran into his half-brothers at the park again this morning, and he had a wonderful time. What are you doing? You're supposed to be tired. I freehanded a double fold hem for the skirt, and I trimmed 1 inch off the lining before doing the same hem. And I also pressed them flat, and then Sky caused more chaos. Knocked over my broken water bottle. The lid is over here. Yeah, you're causing chaos again. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. No, it really is a plane. And then I made a few more copies because I love the pattern so much. In a moment it will all be gone. You gotta understand that we get one chance, one chance. You will never regret the things that we'll do. 'Cause Alright, that is the June dress done. Or dresses, I guess. I went a little overboard, but that's because I really liked it. I really want to say I wore my June dress to go mini golfing on my birthday, but the truth is that it thunderstormed all day, so I got an IOU for that. I will see you next in July, and I have a very fun design planned for that one. Nice and summery again. Bye, everybody!
Happy birthday to you.